Okay, so now we're going to go on to the actual UV mapping part of this. So the entire concept of using a 3D model as a base for plush patterning, basically plush making, straight up. Like you would make a little model, sculpt it out of clay, cover it in tape, and then cut the little bits off and kind of add some darts here or there until it lays pretty flat. We basically are doing that just in digital form. All right, so relevant actually, before I get onto the UV mapping. I have my texture. You don't need the textures, it's just very helpful if you have them. There's my materials. All right, so let's say you don't have a texture, period, at all. If it's a game model, it will have a texture, but say you don't have it applied in Blender already, and you need to make, you will just go to this little circly boy in object mode, please. And you'll just click new, and there you go, my material. And now I'm going to change base color here to image texture. And now I'm going to open. And that way I can hunt down my image texture. So there, I added it back. This is a very simple guy. He only has one texture. Some models are a lot more complex and will have several. But I use this texture here to be able to start doing the important bits of this, which is we're going to go into edit mode. And where's my knife tool at? Where's my boy? You know, in your left-hand bar, little toolbar, you'll find the knife tool. It cuts new topology. So that's going to create more of these chaos triangles and dots. And because I have this guy he's cut in half, and I only have to do one side of it, which is going to save me a lot of work. So I'll start with the eye. It's usually the most fun part to start with. You're just going to click like you're tracing it. And don't get like too super teeny weeny like this. It will add pointless complexity to your mesh. And if you're using Plushify, it has that polygon count limit. And all you need is for it to be just like basic enough to get the gist so that you can have it for reference. It doesn't need to look amazingly superstar perfect. So on that subject, if you add any extra bits, you can select them and hit the delete key and tell it to dissolve vertices or edges, and it will kind of just remove those. And I'm just gonna trace this little guy's eyeballs. I like to trace the highlights and stuff too, just so I can reference it in my art software, even if it's super janky. Yeah, doing the inside of the eye is pretty much entirely optional. It's just for reference. So there's that. The nose is already perfectly aligned with our edges. We don't need to add anything. So once you make your faces with your knife tool, you can select all of them, and you're going to go to edge, mark seam. It's easier if you do that right after you confirm your cut, because everything will be selected after you use the knife tool. That's the perfect time to use this. You can also switch what you're selecting here. You can select by edges, which is also sometimes more helpful than just going with the little vertices select. And I'm just going to go to edge, mark seam. Now, you can speed this process up without having to open this menu up by setting it as, oh, I do have it already set as a quick favorite. But to do that, you just will right click it and click add to favorites. And it will add to a little custom menu that you have. I don't know how else to access it other than the shortcut key, which is Q. But if you have that in your quick favorites, bam, press Q, click. And red edges mean that this is now your new edge for your UV map. So this is a UV map. It's basically like a bearskin rug. It's literally how plush toys work. Now, the thing about the 3D UV maps is they have stretch. They take stretching into account at 360 degrees. Fabric only has up and down, or up, down, and left and right, for the most part. It calculates based on a 3D space. And there's just some differences between using it as your pattern just straight raw. Usually it works pretty dang well, but sometimes you have to edit it. So let me find out how to turn my view of stretch on here. Oh, here it is. So UV editing should be a default tab for you to go to. If you don't have it, you can press this little plus over here and make a new one, UV editing. Again, on this, I believe is where the stretch is. Yes, this little overlay boy. And this is in a, what is called a UV editor panel. You can also like straight up change this to be a UV editor if you want to. You can customize Blender like crazy. Stretch, I'm showing you the stretch. So you gotta have this little thing turned on and UV stretch. And as you can see, whoops, the brighter neon green yellow it is, the more it's being stretched. And this is being stretched like crazy because I have modified the mesh. I've deleted something somewhere, added something, and so that's effectively broken the UV map. You're gonna completely overwrite this thing, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, back to my editing here. I'm just gonna speed through and add seams. This is exactly what you will be doing in Plushify. I just personally like doing it in Blender because depending on your mesh, you can double click and have it automatically select an entire row, basically. Which it won't do that here because this thing is covered in triangles and it has all of these points. I can try and basically turn the triangles to quads, which quad's good. And if it's a quad, then I can double click and it will just around the whole thing, if I want to do that. But that will break some of the UV map or areas that originally do have these triangles on the mesh, so I'm not going to do that. I could probably do it on just a select area like this. Yeah, perfect. But it doesn't matter. Oh, I keep switching. I didn't even mention this. These are your different viewport styles. This is just default viewport shading, and it will show the texture by default. That's just what I go look at for reference. But you can also turn the texture on under here. Texture. And this is like your editing kind of, your basic editor. There, I'm going to select those neck pieces and make seam. Oh, I'm going to do, this guy's going to have a head gusset. My only real experience that got me into sewing was sewing teddy bears. I got to leave some room around the eyes. I'll start with around the eye from the profile here, because I need space for the embroidery to breathe. I know some people can like put the embroidery right on the edge. I don't know how you do that. You guys are God or something. I don't know. I don't have an embroidery machine. I just watch my brother do it sometimes. I'm just gonna make that a seam because it's already selected. And now my little gusset. This is gonna kind of define the shape of his little snoot here, like this guy. So I'm gonna basically do that. Well, you know, it might be a better idea to do it on that lower mouthpiece. Yeah, I'm not going to go under the snoot. I'm going to go above it, like how this one is. I kind of want this to pinch here, because that might give it more of a little muzzly shape. Maybe like this. No, that's pointlessly complex. We're just going to keep it like this, and if his face is too wide, like exploding out, like poof, whoops, then you can use some thread sculpting, or you can adjust your pattern manually and just kind of exaggerate some of this somewhere. That's just something you need to get an eye for, and the more you sew and stuff, the more you will understand it. My understanding of sewing comes entirely from doing 3D modeling for a decade. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling, and I'll only bring up stuff now when relevant. I'm gonna make this hopefully a speedy time lapse.